You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's R&B Divas After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's R&B Divas After Show.
Hello. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV.
What's up?
You are tuned into AfterBuzz TV for R&B Divas LA Season 2, Episode 5, titled Divas in Denial, or Diva in Denial. I'm your host, Bamm Ericsen, and I would like to introduce you to my panel.
What's up? I'm Megan Thomas.
What's up? It's Alfred Nolan Thomas.
Okay.
My cousin from a different auntie.
Right. Or I remember when people used to think you guys were married. Oh, how cute. So let's go right into last night's episode. So Michele has this performance for the Martin Luther King Parade in Los Angeles, where they shut down the entire Crenshaw area, and so she brings this to Little Mo and to Chrisette Michele. I never can say her name.
Yeah.
Chrisette.
Like cassette.
Chrisette. And they're from the East Coast, so they're kind of wondering, Crenshaw?
That's valid, because when I first moved to LA, that's exactly what I said. I was like, hold on, Crenshaw? I have to go down Crenshaw? It's okay. It's not bad.
It's also valid for, it's very valid. I was just there the other day, and I was there the other day. Wait, what number is my mic?
Probably 1.
Okay. I was just there the other day, not knowing that I was going to be in the neighborhood, and I was wearing red. I had to take off my red watch. I had to take off my hat.
That ain't even real.
No. Yes, it is.
But I'm saying that, okay, well, maybe you're a guy, so it's different.
It's totally different because I'm a guy. But there's too many color restrictions. I don't blame them for wanting to, like, what's the hood really? Like, you know.
I don't watch Boys in the Hood too much. It's not as bad. I mean, nowadays it's not.
When I first moved here, I lived in Leimert Park, which is like right there. And I mean, when I was living in the neighborhood, it was cool for me, but I was coming as a visitor. I was like staying to myself. The windows of my neighbors did get shot out, but that was just some things that happened. But it wasn't necessary. So I couldn't knock what they were saying. At the same time, when black people in that neighborhood come together, you know, I've been to the Martin Luther King event there, and it is a nice event. And yes, things happen. I think things happen everywhere. But at the same time, you know, it made me, I felt a double-edged sword on it, because I was like, she shouldn't have brought that up, because it would be nice to just have a nice tone to something that happens in that neighborhood, because, I mean, they are rebuilding it. There's a lot of wonderful things. Magic Johnson still does a lot of great things in the community. So it's going in the right direction, and I felt bad about it. At the same time, you do never know.
I agree. It's the entire neighborhood's not bad. I'm just saying, for me, when I go, I have to make sure that I'm not wearing like 6 or 7 different colors, because the streets are the streets, and for a male, it is what it is. But there's a lot of great places, a lot of good food. Yeah, good food spots. You know, I love to go to the Walmart, and so I was there at the TJ.
Walmart, which is true, because if you live in LA, there's only one Walmart in the city limits.
And there's one in about. But anyway, so they all the divas attend the Martin Luther King Parade, and they're all sitting there, I guess, in the VIP green room or whatever. And Michele's manager then comes up to her, who is Kurt Marshall, not the manager, but the musical director. Kurt Marshall comes up to her and says, "Listen, you're gonna have to do a 30-minute set." Right. Versus a 15-minute. And then he gives her these lists with all the words of all the songs that she has to do. And he says,
hold on, wait a minute. Because when I saw that, was he going to hold that up for her? Or because I feel like the words were really, really big on the page.
Probably.
I thought they were all titles, right?
They probably. You notice how the divas were kind of there was like a barricade.
Yeah, and then
so
they were
I'm
sitting
assuming
there.
they probably would have had something for her to see, or maybe it would have been on like a musical stool or something. I don't know, but
what is it? I thought it was just the track titles. It wasn't the actual words, right?
No,
I saw a lot of print. So
but I'm saying, because that would have been a lot of words to be putting up there. I thought it was just so she could see what song is next.
Okay,
so I think the list dress was so long, it was ridiculous for her. But I thought that was weird. I personally felt like, well, I can't blame the network because it had to do with the Martin Luther King event. Although for me, it's these weird, unorthodox, unprofessional situations that the ladies are consistently thrown to when they're doing different venues that I feel pulls away from the high quality of a show that they do have. I didn't think she had, like, if it was coincidence and God so happened to let that happen, okay. But at the same time, it just felt kind of weird that this is another event where something just before they perform,
what you say, black people events?
But you can't really say that because it's like, I mean, they are black people. Everywhere we go is black. But when it comes to their attempts at different kind of performance-based events, there's always something of somebody dropping the ball at every time, and I'm getting tired of that.
10 minutes before the show.
Exactly. That I will say that wasn't professional, but at the same time, when you're at this caliber, you got to be ready for anything. Now, I will say that is extreme to double the time of your set. Mm-hmm. That was a bit much. If they said, okay, we have to do 20 minutes and not 15, cool. Mm-hmm. But you're saying you're doubling the amount of songs that I'm supposed to do, and you're telling me 10 minutes before. That is absurd. But that's how you know who is good and who is great. Mm-hmm. Because if you tell a great performer that 10 minutes before, they gonna freak out, but they gonna get it.
Now, Claudette brought up a good point. She says, how many songs are in your 15-minute set that you normally do? She says 3. So Claudette said, well, why don't you try to stretch it?
Exactly.
And then Little Mo says, well, why don't you even either do a cover or shout or do something to or shout to entertain.
Right.
Lil Mo probably would shout, but I get where the girls are trying to offer her advice for how to extend the 3 songs that she has. She can maybe do a sing-along. So I get where the girls were I get where they were going with this. But what really pissed me off was her musical director. This is no diss. Michele has 3 songs that she's like super known for: No More Lies, Something in My Heart, and Nice Tea. And if you want to go way back, you can do the Before You Turn Off the Lights, the song that she did with the World Class Wrecking Crew. Those are her three hit numbers. Right. And for an event like this, she's probably not getting paid because it's a parade. It was I saw KJLH's logo in the back, so I'm assuming that this is something that they put on. For her manager, for musical director to say, well, you want to give the fans what they want. No, the fans are not expecting Michele to give a 30-minute performance because the radio has not announced. The radio did not announce, Michele is gonna take the stage and give you a full 30-minute performance. They don't never say that. They just say that these people are performing. So I thought that was really BS for the musical director to throw that on her, especially the kind of the kind of person that Michele is, where she seems to be taken advantage of. I thought it was whack.
I agree, and I mean, for this particular situation, it was sad, and at the same time, it was like Michele has been through a lot when it comes to topics on the show and what she's has had to deal with, and it being so fresh and new with her suicide situation, and then having to do so much to appease her career and the people involved with that. I think it was more so, the breakdown had nothing to do with what was actually going on. The breakdown was because of everything piling up, and then you put that at the top. I think she's like, it was the example of her being through too much. I could see anybody breaking down like that, and I thought it was one of those moments where I was like, man, she's going through so much, and there's so many reasons for her to feel bad and go off the deep end, that things need to be properly prepared for her. But I feel like that's somewhat the network's responsibility is, if you're gonna put these people in a situation where their lives are super exposed and they doing all these things to show their talent and represent people who are going through things, especially with this case with Michele, I think there shouldn't be that much going on other than her having to perform and being a part of other things.
But I'll say she was high.
Yeah.
She was high.
Yeah. And
I don't know what she was high on, but she was high. That's why she rambled, and that's why she went crazy.
Yeah, she self-medicated, which she's I believe she says that when she was here, that she would sleep a lot, and they would have to give her stuff and take drinks. She'd have to take something in order to basically to get her going so that she can go and perform. So Michele was definitely on something. I also think that Michele is not the kind of singer who just does covers. If it's Chante Moore or Little Mo or Chrisette, they'll do covers, they'll do whatever they have to do. Or if she was in a different frame of mind, she simply could have sung a song.
Right.
She said, okay, my band, then have the band play another song, kind of like a West Coast song or beat or something, while she pats her makeup. So there was ways she could have stretched the 30 minutes.
But 10 minutes before, that is rough to throw that on somebody.
It is rough, but I'm just saying, like you say, between the good and the greats. If she was not as in that state of mind, there's ways that she could have went about it. I'm just saying she could have had the musical director or somebody, after she did No More Lies, she could have had the band play something for 6 minutes, then come back on stage. And so there's just ways that she could have went about it. But then, so once that was, the damn sound.
Yeah.
Child, I was like, why she up here whispering? And then it's because the sound wasn't on. But I'm not even gonna front. When she came back, when she walked off the stage, my initial thought was, I would have probably walked off too.
Yeah.
It's not working. That's the whole point. You can't have a show and don't have sound. That's the reason why people are here, to hear.
Yeah.
To use that sense to hear what is going on. And if they can't hear, okay, then let me walk off stage while y'all fix it. Mm-hmm. So I can go up here and get, calm myself back down some. But I will say this, when she did start singing, I'm not trying to be funny, and I love Michele, but I didn't think it sounded good. And the women were like, oh, she sounded really good. Maybe it's because I felt like I couldn't hear her. Even though you could hear her barely, I just feel like I couldn't hear her. And because as a result of that made me go, I didn't like it.
But you can't sing, so it'd be hard for you to know whether or not
you're a hater.
I have to agree with you. I don't think she sounds as great as she normally does, but she was frustrated. She's singing. She's trying to, tell the people, like, cut me up. There was a lot going through her.
Well, that's for me.
And she's medicated, too, at the same time. So I get it.
There was a lot going on. Again, this was another part of the epitome of, man, how are y'all throwing so many curveballs at this woman? That should have been prepared. If they were going to throw adding more numbers to her set, you should know everything else works for her.
And she has a band. Why didn't her musical director have that all taken care of?
Exactly.
But I don't want to actually blame them, because we always find out once the divas are here that that's not what really happened. And then something else that I noticed, that when she came back from walking off the stage, and when she came back to do Something in My Heart, did you notice that it was all of a sudden it was now dark?
Yeah.
Right. So there was a huge time lapse. Yeah, there was a huge time span. So I can't say that things went the way it did for what. I'm just saying that TVOne appears to do things to make things look a certain way, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
And I wouldn't even say TVOne. I would say the producers of the show, because they are separate from TVOne.
The producers. So now Leela James and Little Mo have a discussion where they express their concerns, and so now they said that they definitely, something's not right, which we've all said is very valid. And so now they want to talk to her, but they want to talk to her just with the three of them, because if they put everyone together, then it's not going to work.
Seems like an intervention.
And so now we go to Little Mo, Leela, and now Michele at Michele's house. She has the glasses on, and what do you guys think about that?
All right, I felt it's a touchy situation, because she going through something that everybody's like, it's a big reveal how not that long ago her attempt on her life was. And also with the way that everything's so public. At first, when I heard Lil Mo and Layla got together, I felt a little weird about it, because even though that's the perfect way to go about it, in the sense of look at the proper ideas of how to approach a friend who may be in that kind of need. So I didn't mind it, but I would have rather them get together off camera, so that what they say amongst each other doesn't get misconstrued, and then come to her as we wanted to come to you as a package. Just because, I don't know, it seems like being so involved in everybody inches of how they process through the life, it takes away from the intimacy of the actual event to me personally. But I mean, it may not be everybody else's feelings, but it definitely was. I thought it was a great idea, and how it eventually evolved and helped her. I was cool with it, but I would have preferred that. I don't know. When it comes to those kind of things, sometimes I like it to be a private issue handled. But I think that's just me.
Like, well, for this, I do think, because this is a delicate situation. You know, they're right. Michele, somebody needs to talk to her. When people are in a depressed state, the best thing for them is to be around people, to feel loved, to feel wanted and needed, because if they feel isolated, then that reinforces their feelings of depression and abandonment and aloneness. So I do think they're right in saying, okay, we have to talk to her. We have to do it in a way that's not everybody, just us, so she doesn't feel attacked and like everybody's in her business. So that was, I agree with that. Now, when Michele actually came, I thought my heart went out to her, like, even more, because this woman is dealing with a lot. And at that moment, I was almost uncomfortable, because for a split second, I was like, Michele could die soon, because of the where she is in her, how she feels about life. You know, we think about last season, she was going through her depression. You know, it seemed like she'd battled with it and she was done with it, and she was able to speak about it and she'd moved on. Now she's getting ready to start a foundation and talk about it. It seems like she's, you know, moving out of depression. But when you see her the way she was in this episode, that made me go, oh my gosh, she's not out of it. She's not out of the woods. And it's very critical. This is a scary state, because when people are here, like what she's talking about, she's barely holding on for her 11-year-old daughter. And that's the last resort. And if she can't hold on for that.
And Martin Luther King, that was just earlier this year.
Right.
And when she went to the therapy session, she said that she had tried, you know, some time ago to take her life. And then she attempted in some way to try to take her life again 3 weeks ago. So,
well, that would be my situation of feeling some type of way about this, because you can tell that she's not out of the woods, and the fact that she's somebody who is in the forefront and can help people and can be an image. It's a weird catch-22, because she hasn't necessarily dealt with it herself, and she's kind of dealing with it while putting it out, the awareness out to people, while trying to start a foundation. That's a lot of responsibility, pressure. It becomes is she really ready to be as open up and giving? Because you have to deal with those emotions when you're constantly talking about it, constantly focused on it. So and she doesn't come off as the strongest character. So it puts me in a position of feeling for her, in the sense of, are they going too far with exposing this? Or one thing I did pull out of Little Mo and Layla was that they knew that she couldn't handle it herself, and they're willing to step in. And then the fact that even though they say, even if she was like, okay, I'm finna go to a therapist, which she does, in most cases, it's not affordable for people to take those kind of steps. And it does take friends going beyond the call of duty. And I think that was well represented in the show. But for the real people who aren't privileged and have great opportunities to be around great people all the time, or have settings where they could have the show take you to do therapy, or have the show hook up the situation with Duncan and Elias and all this kind of stuff, I think it makes it even more something that should be taken seriously. I mean, Robin Williams just committed suicide. So this is something that is happening now more than not.
And what's also interesting is she tried to take her life 6 months into season 1 prior to the Divas log, and then she had another incident, you know, apparently while taping season taping this season 2, and this entire time she has yet to speak to anyone about it. She has yet, you know, pretty much we can look at this and say maybe it was a year ago, maybe. So for a full year, she hasn't God help, she hasn't spoke to anyone.
But has been putting it out there and helping other people make money.
I commend her for that, because that is a brave thing to do. It's a very dark and lonely place, and to allow the world to be exposed to that, she's helping somebody. I just really hope and pray that this
helps her too.
That, as she's watching this is therapy for herself. Because sometimes when you see it on TV, it's different. And especially if you see yourself, it's different. And I just hope that, you know, Michele gets to a place where she can go, that's how I was. That's my testimony. Because look where I am am now, because I don't want her to, you know, this could end horribly. You know, if she didn't have friends that cared about her, or if she was in a place of just despair, even if there were people around who cared and she just couldn't see that or she couldn't feel that, this could end up ugly. Robin Williams just committed suicide like that. You know what I mean? And so I don't want that to happen to her. I want her to be empowered, and I want her to empower other people with this story, because a lot of people go through this.
I mean, go ahead.
And there, Mo and Leela, you know, said that, you know, as people of color, you know, we're always taught to either sweep it under the rug or to pray it out. You know, we don't think about going to see help. Which I thought was a good point to bring up.
Because it's a situation where there's no real telltale signs until it's too late, you know, where you've done something or you try something that really puts you in harm's way. But when it comes to people's emotions and what they take as that's lightweight or that's something real serious, it varies between everybody, and everybody's threshold for dealing with stuff is different. And as we grow up, you find a lot of stuff you got to deal with. You have to deal with on your own. You are the one who deals with the most of you. So being that is something that there's no like real, oh, okay, you got spots, so I know to put some cream on you to deal with your situation. It is something where you just got to be able to be open to people, communicate, talk. So then you may not be aware that you're depressed. That's the thing. When you're just feeling sad, you think, oh, I'm sad today, I won't be sad tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, and the next day, until somebody's like, man, you've been talking real down, are you okay? But that takes communication as just a natural thing.
Speaking of communication, what did you guys think? Now, Claudette is aware of Michele's situation. Claudette, or we haven't seen on camera, I'm going to say that. I'm not going to accuse her of not saying anything, but on camera, we haven't seen Claudette mention this to any of the girls. Now, in most cases, when you have a conversation, if Alfred or either one of you guys, if we're having a conversation, if we're having a conversation, the conversation stays between you and I. But in this instance, should Claudette have said something to the rest of the divas, or she should have kept it to herself? What do you guys think about that?
I don't think she should have said anything, or I mean, that we know if she hasn't said anything, but because of the conversation she had with, because of what Claudette and Michele talked about with each other. They were both mothers, you know, single mothers that had been going through some really dark stuff, you know, and dealt with abuse, that kind of thing. And I think the conversation they had was very personal between them two. It was because of what they both mutually went through that they could talk to each other about it. And I don't think that was something that really needed to be shared in the way that, you know, Michele posed it to her like, you know, you're past it. I'm still in the beginning stages of getting out of it. So it didn't seem as she was that dark. You know, I think last episode or the episode before, Michele didn't seem that it was so dark. It seemed like she was coming out into the light. But this was the first time that it looked like that.
Because I was going to say, so even after the whole incident when they were at the Martin Luther King parade, so you're saying that after witnessing her breakdown and her potentially on something, you think Claudette should have just still kept what Michele's going through, not the past, but just, you know, hey girls, I think blah 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 blah.
No, but you know what? Probably I think that part was staged as far as Lil Mo and Leela being the ones like, let's talk to her. You know, I feel like there probably was a conversation. I'm pretty sure when Michele went up on that stage, all of them was sitting there like, y'all, something ain't right. Like, we don't need to talk to her. But I think it was just more impactful to say, okay, the producers probably pulled, you know, Mo and Leela to the side, like, okay, we just need somebody to, you know, go approach this with her, because it does look like an intervention if everybody is like, hey, we're all concerned about you. It just kind of seems like an attack more than something that's helpful. Yeah.
Well, they did agree. So once she went to the therapy session, she gave her kind of the breakdown of what happens and how there's the assessment and how, you know, something like this takes over the course of a year. And she asked if she would be willing to try this, and so Michele said she would, and so we hope to see more sessions. Actually, I don't know if I even want to see that.
Well, again, I think that's
for the sake of TV, I hope that she could, whether we see it or not, I hope that she continues to carry on with therapy.
Right, and I think she's taking the first step, which I think a lot of people can learn that, you know, it all starts somewhere, and for most of us, it's back in our childhood somewhere. And, you know, we see that with Michele talking to her therapist and talking about her abandonment issues. But I'm glad she's getting to the root of it, because you got to go it gets ugly first before it gets better. So she got to go back through all those memories, all that stuff, and all those feelings, and you know, conjure all that up, bring it to the forefront so she can deal with them, and she doesn't have to keep that in her spirit anymore.
Well, okay. So let's now move on to the rest of the women. So the diva demands, they were met. So we open up the show with them, all the ladies at Claudette's house, and she says that the demands have all been met, and that in addition to the studio time that they brought together with the girls, a producer, and the producer is no other than Mr. Warren Campbell, who is, I mean, his resume is so long. Do I even need to say who he is?
He is the producer extraordinaire.
Yeah, he's worked with everybody. He's worked with all of the divas except for Leela and Claudette, but he's worked with everyone. He's probably most known for being married to Erica Campbell from Mary Mary. He produced a really good CD of hers, her solo CD Help. But yeah, his resume is just super long. And on top of that, he started off with the West Coast rappers, and Michele said that he was a Death Row producer, and Michele said that she used to babysit him when he was a kid. So
that's funny.
So anyway, so the diva demands are met, and so when it was announced that Warren was the producer, all of the women were really excited, but Little Mo did say, is this the real Warren Campbell? Because I know how much he charges as a producer, and how is this guy Caesar, how is he handling this?
Yeah, don't worry about how, look, Puerto Rico money is long. Don't be asking them questions. Just be happy that y'all got him. Just be happy you got Warren Campbell.
I don't think they're gonna end up be happy.
I can see both sides. If Claudette says it's taken care of, then it's taken care of. But just as an artist and what all of these women go through, I mean, Michele was at an event sponsored by KJLH, that is Stevie Wonder's station, and the damn sound wasn't great. So I can see why these women want to ask these questions, because if you look at season 1 and then you look at the other 3 seasons of Divas Atlanta, things always go bad and sound is always crappy. So looking at the track record, I don't blame Mo for saying, yo, what's up? Now, if it was a different circumstance, then yeah, sure, shut up. Okay, Warren Campbell is handled. But geez, it's like,
right, but I don't think she was saying it like that. I think she was saying, like, how can we afford?
Yeah.
Like, I think she probably, because, you know, Little Mo is always on the money tip, especially with her now having to be, like, the breadwinner in her family.
Yeah.
She's always worried about them coins. So she clearly is like, how can we get Warren Campbell on this? So that has her thinking, like, okay, well, we probably need to get paid a little more, because these Puerto Rico people is just shelving out money, apparently, because, of course, Warren Campbell is not cheap to get. To produce 2 songs.
I thought she was asking in the sense of, okay, are you sure that this is going to work? Because we've been in situations before where we're told one thing and then it's not the other. So I thought she was coming from that perspective.
I think it's a combination of both, because I took it as, okay, so we got Warren, so then the situation with us being writing and credit on this is going to switch up, change up. People being able to get what they want out of it is actually going to be less, because it becomes more of him bringing the project together. And as you see, with the way he sees it, it was totally different than what the ladies saw originally with them coming together and collaborating.
I was going to say, I'm glad that everything went smoothly with Chrisette, and saying that it wasn't her boyfriend anymore as a producer. Justin was no longer, because at first I thought she was gonna be a little salty, but I'm glad she was like, okay, I'm glad this was an easy way to get my man out of this, because I don't want to mix business and pleasure, which is smart.
Which I don't think he
would be mad, honestly.
I don't think he would be mad. And she said something about how this would be more, it was more like a friend hookup or something.
Right.
I really couldn't see him working with all 6 of those women.
I think they would have run over him.
Yeah,
exactly.
And Warren ain't playing that, as we clearly see.
Yeah, he's not. And so now let's go to them when they were all in the studio with Warren. So Warren says that,
can't all of y'all say?
He says
that's basically it right there. Period. Point blank period.
He says if all 6 women leave the song, it's gonna sound like a We Are the World song.
What's wrong with that?
Do you agree or disagree that all women shouldn't leave the song? Do you?
I think they, well, off of it being something for Puerto Rico, something as like a representation of powerful American voices that are selling this product, basically. I feel like they all should have a point of contribution that is sticks with them and what they bring to the table, rather than, you know, we'll just have 3 of y'all do leads and then everybody else kind of mesh in the background. Even though there's 2 versions, I think that still allows for, because like I said, it's not supposed to be like a song on the radio. It's supposed to be a promo song, so it's supposed to go with them selling Puerto Rico and its wonderful life. I think that can have a lot of layers and levels to it, so it can allow, and there is a time allowed for it to happen. But if he is who he is for a reason, so I think that's like the tug of war, because they have to respect where he's coming from because of who he is, and at the same time they still want to have some kind of real representation of themselves within this project. The last thing you want to do is say, go listen to the Puerto Rico thing, and all you doing is in the background.
I think if there's 2 songs, then you should split it up. You should have some variation. I don't really know what the variation would be, if it's like 4 on one song, 2 on the other, 3 and 3. I don't know. But if you're going to have 2 songs and everyone cannot be lead, because, I mean, that makes sense. It is, that's a lot of people, 6 people singing lead on a song that ain't that long. Okay, I get it. So you need to split them up. And everyone should get a little snippet of their own little solo. Even if it's just like 5 words. It doesn't matter. Everyone should have that, because that's what this project, to me, it wasn't about. You can pay people that aren't famous to sing a song. If that's what you were looking for, is just one lead person and a bunch of background singers. Why the heck would you have all these famous people? That doesn't make sense, because that's just taking up extra money that you could have clearly paid for 5 people to do what one of them is doing. Go ahead and do that. Hire you some background singers. Don't waste these women's time doing that. I would say you got 2 songs, split them up. That's even and that's fair.
So
I like We Are the World.
Depends. I think that splitting, doing one song into 2 versions, from a business perspective, I'm not really sure if that would qualify as 2 songs. So I think the song should definitely be split up. I'm just unsure. Like if we do the what does that say again? That says Biracial is Beautiful. So if there was a song called Biracial is Beautiful, Part 1 and Part 2, from a business standpoint, and they're paying for studio time, with the producers or the people who's paying be like, nah, that's not a second song. I don't want a remix. So but either way, it doesn't matter if it's a Part 1, Part 2, or 2 completely different songs. I'm just saying, I'm not sure what's in what was agreed upon. So I'm just saying, I think it would be smart. You know, if you're not going to do a We Are the World, fine. Then you need to split everybody up, and you know, for him to say Chante is background or what, I don't know. I don't know. It's okay. I just feel like he should split the songs up. Not everybody. If we're not doing We Are the World type of song, split them up. And speaking of background, Chante did say that she was the only one to sing background. Right. And Warren did say that he needed, he thinks for the background, with it being Puerto Rico, you need a very sexy, lush type of voice, which he feels Chante is the only one who has that voice. Right. So I guess that makes sense why she's the only one that sang background. And then he also mentioned about that everyone agrees to leave egos at the door, including themselves. So that seems great. Right. But where the subtle ugliness could have gotten ugly is when Little Mo said, let's keep it real. There's none of us has a song on the radio except for Chrisette. And Chante says, excuse me, I do. And she says, top 40? She said, pop station, not the R&B. And she was like, no, it's number 17 on the urban adult contemporary. And she was like, I don't check the charts. Little Mo, shush.
I mean, but she's being honest. She didn't check the charts. She didn't know that Chante was number 17. I mean, let's be real. How many times have you heard that song spin on the radio? Not a lot.
How many people listen to the radio?
I do. I'm a radio person.
Because we talk about that on the phone. Just Little Mo, just zip.
It was unnecessary, but at the same time, I felt like they all kind of put themselves in a position like to have that little hissy fit with the way they were ill-prepared with their version of what they wanted to do with the song and how that kind of trickled down. It like that's one of the things is like if you're not prepared to present something, don't even show it, because I think it put them into a submissive point of view at that point, because now Warren's like, oh Lord, y'all coming with garbage and I'm really gonna have to take control. And I think it was a little sad, because I would have liked to see that battle between them, him looking at them like they got their shit together, I'm gonna have to work around what they already have and I'm trying to bring myself to the table, rather than it looked like they didn't even go over it. They want to really think about presenting it, but all of a sudden was like, all right, let's do this.
Which is why it's great that he was brought to the table, because as much as they have had rehearsals and they've practiced writing, they weren't prepared.
Right.
And so I think that's great that they were able to do that. I just think Little Mo should just zip it. I respect her honesty, because she's right. None of them don't have hit songs on the popular pop, the hip hop R&B radio stations, except for Chrisette. I get that, and I'm glad she's honest with herself as an artist, because some artists can be delusional about their relevancy in pop culture. So she
should have just been like, when Chante said I got a song, she should have just been like, oh my bad. Like I know. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that would have been a little more effective than her to try to fight for that and be like, well, I'm talking about the pop, I'm charged, not the. She should have just been like, oh my bad.
Yeah, and so. Speaking of Chrisette and her having a song on the radio, so Chrisette is having this issue with her record label Motown Records, because she wants to do this record called
Lyricist Opus.
Yes, Lyricist Opus. And so she's on Skype with her mom, and her mom says, well, I'll talk to the label, and I think it's best that if we fund it ourselves. So basically the label's they're not feeling it.
Right.
And so now she has to fund it herself, and she meets with a guy so they can get the keys together on the piano, and then she gets the horn sections to get things going. I thought it was great. I'm glad to see that there's music, and so I thought it was cool. I don't really have much to say. There's not really anything to debate. I just want to mention it. I thought it was great.
I mean, well, one thing I got out of it was the fact that you're not always going to have backing from the machine, and it is good to put yourself in a position to be able to fund your own ideas and passions. I think Chrisette is definitely the artsy fartsy kind of artist who would always be someone who goes against the grain, not against the grain, but more on her own path.
Right.
And that is a certain type of artist to deal with. And for the machine, I feel like it does take a sense of, it's like betting on a horse. You try to put them in races that you know you're going to win because you want that revenue back. But at the same time, you don't want to hinder them from being the creative minds that they can be. And I think at that point, it is if you believe in this so much, you fund it. And then if it goes off, then we'll come in to support you. I feel like she has that relationship with her record label, because it wasn't no shade of, they're not supporting me. In fact, I doubt that she really thought that was going to happen, but she still, you never know. You know what I mean? You always present what you want and deal with your people, because that's just how business should be properly done, regardless if you want to do something else, just don't go off and do it. So I like the fact that they went to the label. I like the fact that the label gave them an honest response, and they were able to take that and decide what they wanted to do. And it was even better to see that whole process from, I got this idea of something I want to do, the meeting with her mom, all the way to the meeting with the label, all the way to let me just find how involved she has to be with that process. I don't think a lot of people get exposed to how hands-on and into it you have to be in order to get your stuff off the ground.
Well,
I'm glad she's doing that too, by the way. I think it's going to keep her sharp and stay creative, because you have no choice. When you put your own funds behind something, are you going to make sure that thing right?
Totally. Well, let's just jump into news and gossip, because it's in regards to Chrisette.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So last week, Chrisette announced that she regrets doing R&B Divas because of all the negative backlash, which I thought was very weird, because I haven't read any negative backlash on her per se, but I guess she's tired overall just of the brands and how there's negative backlash. maybe because Chante's did this, or so there's always something that people are going to say, especially in a world where people can just leave comments and scrutinize your life just because they want to do that, or they simply don't like you, so they want to leave long scriptures of how
going to hell for being an ugly person and being rude.
And so I just thought that, did you not know that could potentially happen, especially when she made the comment about, yes, we know Kelly Price, you're booked. So she's aware of what happened to season 2. So why would she have regret? Like, she should have known that people were going to have things to say about the show in general.
Right. But I think this, just like Chante said last week, you never really know how this is until you get to do it. You can't really understand what it's like to have your whole entire life scrutinized and have people comment on it, and people be so invested in your life, people you don't even know, until you do it.
Yeah.
And so, yes, you can say, yeah, you should know you're doing reality show, that they're going to try to make you look bad. They're going to take anything you say and twist it and manipulate it and edit it so that they can get the best show and the best ratings that they can get. And if they have to villainize you, they will villainize you. Talking about the producers, they'll do that. They worried about the show. They're not worried about your personal life. Yeah. So we can say that, and we can all say, oh, we don't want our lives to be scrutinized like that. But then, maybe in her head, she thought she was hopeful and like, oh, I'm just going to be really positive and just be myself. And for the most part, I'm a happy kind person. Yeah. Maybe she didn't think that people really were going to say anything. So again, you can't really understand what it's like to be on a reality show until you do it.
Very true. And with that,
I would take it as a double-edged sword in the sense of she's very boisterous about her opinion. So even with her saying that, I think that's just her being real, because I'm sure it gets annoying. Everybody want to talk about the garbage, or not garbage, but the tension that's on the show that has nothing to do with her for the most part, unless she stands up for herself. It can get annoying to deal with other people's problems because it's associated with now your brand.
Very true. I've heard people make comments about some of the women that they will tag me in, but they'll tag Chrisette and some of the other women. I'm just like, why would you do that?
They try to say you messy, Bamm. That's what they're trying to say. Yeah. Bamm's messy. Let me go ahead and put his name on it.
We all got to get paid.
Whatever. Well, let's go on to predictions now.
Predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
The lights.
Predictions.
You go first. Now I want you to go.
My predictions is there's two things. It reveals that Leela has an interview with the online magazine, and the journalist, or the young lady who was doing the interview, said that the soul music is a dying breed. And Leela said, well, how is it dead when I'm still here? I like Leela because she definitely speaks her mind, and she basically she wouldn't allow that statement to be mentioned. So I think it's going to be interesting. We get to see a little bit more of Leela, and then they talk about the Grammy nominations, and then Lil Mo has a performance, and then in the middle of the song she stops, and
she's gonna improvise.
Yeah,
I think they're making that super dramatic.
I think it's super dramatic too. I think that's probably when she sung I think that was at the Sayers Club when she did the Lauryn Hill X Factor. I think it's dramatically for the sake of camera. I think she could have maybe stopped and maybe patted her ponytail or something. Who knows? But I don't think it's as big as what they're making it.
Right. And that whole comment to Leela about the soul music, I mean, the way the reporter posed it was, some people say that the soul music is a dying breed. I don't think she was saying, that wasn't a personal attack on Leela, but that is true that people do say that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that Leela should have been offended, by that's a legitimate question, because people have said that.
Yeah.
No, it's not a knock to you. Yeah. It's not a lot of people doing what you're doing. Just saying.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm gonna pick my hair out like that next week. Every time I see Leela's hair, I'm like, I'm gonna get enough gumption to do it.
Get your black.
I thought she
I'm
looked,
gonna
I thought
pick it out because my hair is that big when I do that.
I thought she looked hot with the big hair, and I'm
gonna try it next week.
Nice
I'm scared. I'm scared, but I'm gonna try it. I've never walked out of public with my hair that big.
Well, not with the headphones. You won't be able to rock it here.
But that's what Leela's gonna look like when she comes in. She gonna have a big old poof of hair, because we gonna get her on this show.
Yeah.
We gonna get her.
And Claudette.
And we're going to get you guys to tune in again next week for AfterBuzz TV's R&B Divas LA Season 2. We want to thank you guys for tuning in and let everyone know where you can be found on social media.
As always, make sure you hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Meg Scoop. And don't forget to follow us on iTunes, subscribe to our podcast, and make sure you rate, comment, give us 5 stars. And we love your comments on YouTube. Keep them coming. And they talk bad about you, Bamm. They said you was Lil Mo's publicist.
Oh, shit. Well, you can find me at Twitter, All Eyes on Black, and at Instagram, ANT2 Black.
Can I just put you on blast?
Yes.
But no, it's a good blast. You have a web series and you've yet to mention it.
Oh, you know what? I always forget that because I'm so in tune to R&B Divas. Make sure you go to YouTube and check out Colored People TV. Colored People TV. It's a hilarious web series. You're going to love it. Check out Colored People TV on YouTube.
And you can find me on all social media at Bamm Ericsen. You guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.